Weddings-ish, 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 with Jove.
Well, hello, and thank you so much for tuning in to Weddings-ish with Jove, a podcast all about love, joy, and weddings-ish with a special guest each episode. I couldn't be more excited to be joined in studio with integrative health expert and former RHONY cast member, former fashion director, former everything, the woman who has reinvented herself time and time again, Heather Thomson.
Thank you so
Hello,
much.
it's so lovely to meet you.
Oh, the pleasure's all mine. Thanks for having me.
Of course, it's my pleasure. I discovered you on my TV screen many moons ago, as I think most of the world has. But I want to get to know the Heather we didn't meet on TV. I understand you were married in 2003 in the Berkshires.
That's correct.
Can you tell me all about your wedding?
Yes, absolutely. So Jonathan, my husband, and I, we've been married for, oh my God, I'm going to mess up 22 years.
Yeah,
exactly. I was going to say, 22 years.
Wow.
And we met on South Beach in Miami.
Okay, literally on the beach?
Like literally on the
you
beach.
You cruised each other?
It was early in the morning.
Okay, you were healthy. You were running?
Yeah, it was more healthy kind of.
Okay. I want to know about the kind of.
It was a little bit of leftover from the night before.
Okay,
a little bit
got
of
it.
that kind of thing. Yeah. So we just randomly met on the beach and we kind of hit it off right away. And we took a Hampton share together and we said if we can make it through a summer, then we'll move in together.
Build a life together.
Yeah. Exactly.
Wait, you literally did a Hampton share and then
we moved in together.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like no funny business.
No, because we're living in New York City and you know how rents are in Manhattan, blah, 100%. Blah, blah. So we moved in and then we got engaged a year later.
1 year.
Yeah.
You guys moved.
Yeah. So we met a year. We dated for a year.
Yep.
We moved in for a year and then we got engaged.
I love this.
And then we got married and we paid for our own wedding. We did everything ourselves, John and I.
At Gedney Farm.
At Gedney Farm, which is still in the Berkshires.
It's still there.
Beautiful place to get married.
Gorgeous.
It's gorgeous.
Small, medium, or large wedding?
It was as many people as Gedney Farm could fit. So I think it was 320 people.
What?
300 people,
you had 300 people at the wedding?
Yes, we did.
That's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people.
You're both very social. You must be.
Yes, absolutely.
Because I looked online and the only thing the internet had about your wedding was your New York Times article.
Oh, yes.
But that's it. No pictures, no details.
We did not do a wedding video. We decided to keep it really in the memory banks. And just, I was born in 1970, so I went through the 80s of the wedding videos, and we
kind of big camera.
Yeah, and everyone would pull out the wedding video, and they're like, "Oh, the wedding video."
Yeah.
So we decided to just keep it in the memory banks, which I still am glad that we did. We had a great photographer. We have an incredible wedding album
that you look back at.
Yeah, which is really fun. We just had it out the other day, actually.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Do you regret not doing video? And I only ask because I would say 50% of my couples are on the fence about it, and 50% know they want it, but you didn't do it. So asking someone who didn't do it, do you have regrets?
I don't. I'm
Not
really
at all.
glad that we didn't do it.
Okay.
I have very good memories of my wedding.
Sure.
I think knowing that the video wasn't there, we did those kind of like breathe it in moments, like stand back and breathe it in.
Because you
Here
weren't
it
on
is.
camera.
Yeah, we weren't on camera. We also paid for it ourselves, like I said. So it was really important. And John, my husband, really wanted a big wedding. He wanted a big party.
Yeah.
And so that's what we did.
Yeah.
We had a weekend of event.
All in the Berkshires.
All in the Berkshires. At the time, Gedney Farm had 3 properties that you could work within. They had a big manor house. And that's
you stayed at?
That's where we stayed. And then our best friends. We didn't really have a wedding party. My sister and John's brother stood up for him. That was our wedding party.
Which is so much nicer than managing 30 people.
It really is.
You know what I mean? Like your day's less stressed out if you don't have to take care of 20 people.
Definitely. And I'm a fashion designer by trade. That's how I started. So for me, I wanted, kind of no BS, no drama, really simple, really easy for the day. My nieces, I have 4 beautiful nieces, and they walked down. They were so little at the time. They walked down the aisle as flower children. And I said to my sisters-in-law, they said, what should they wear? I said, anything they want.
Wow,
whatever.
Even as a fashion designer,
whatever they feel beautiful in.
Wow.
Is what I wanted them to wear. And I said
that.
the same thing to my sister. And my sister-in-law, who is a rabbi, is who married John and I.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, so
I love that.
It was a real family affair.
Okay.
Yeah, so we got married by my sister-in-law. Our siblings stood for us on both sides.
Wow.
My dad walked me down the aisle.
Oh, all the classic beautiful moments.
Yeah, and my mom wore white.
Wow.
To the wedding because that's the dress that looked. I did too.
You both wore white.
We
you
did.
and your mom.
And my sister-in-law Deb wore it too.
She wore
we
white
just
also.
noticed in the wedding album when we were looking at it together. I'm like, oh my God, Debbie, you wore white to my wedding. She goes, I don't know about those things,
And
but I didn't
care.
even notice.
Wow.
That because it was just a big party, and that's really what we wanted. So on Friday we had. By the way, my mom wore white, and she's like, I can't. She's born in the 50s. I said, yes, you can because it looks the most beautiful on you. This dress looks the best on you, and it's your wedding day too.
Yeah, so why not?
Why not? So
everyone knows you're the bride.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no surprise.
And I wore Vera Wang white.
I was going to ask what you wore. So was it tight? Was it fitted? Was it
tight?
poofy?
Completely tight and
all the way
fitted.
down.
Yep, it was. I had 2 wedding dresses not because I had 2 for each the party. I started with a wedding dress that was backless, and I said to the seamstress, "Are you sure it's not going to fall off my shoulders all night?"
Yeah, because you hold back.
By 4th fitting, it was still falling off my shoulders. I was weeks away from getting married.
You don't need the stress.
Didn't need the stress. I said to Jonathan, I can't wear this dress. I have to get another dress.
Wow.
And so he was like, okay.
In 4 weeks.
In 4 weeks. And thank God I'm in the fashion industry.
You could pull it off.
Because a really good friend of mine at the time, her name's Shannon, and she's no longer with us, but she was a fit model, and she worked for Vera, and she worked for me.
Okay.
And so Shani said, Heather, I know what to do. She said, come over to Vera Wang with me. So I went to Vera, and I met with the seamstresses there, and we picked the bottom of one dress and the top of another.
And made it.
And they put it together, and actually Vera came in at the very end, and she draped a veil over my head, which was just a simple piece of the tulle, and she put it over my head, and she goes, "That's it." And we didn't add. We didn't add any trim,
sort of frill or fluff.
nothing. It was just really long.
Wow.
And the dress had 2 trains that came down behind, so it was V-neck low.
Okay.
Like just a T down the back.
Okay.
Gathered kind of. Up here
above
your
on the lower. Yep.
Yeah,
Ooh.
right above
Will you
the
share
tuchus.
pictures with us?
Oh, sure, yes.
I want to see this dress.
Yes,
That's
and John wore
amazing.
Gucci. He wore a very, very delicate dark pinstripe.
Oh.
Yeah, Gucci.
Was this a fall wedding?
It was it was light gray.
Okay.
It was a light gray pinstripe.
Got it.
And I'm thinking it was it was June 28th
so
we got
summer,
married. It
peak
was
of
a
summer.
summer wedding.
Okay.
Very, lightweight suit. And he had chops at the time.
No.
Like yes.
Mutton chops?
Yeah,
Like
he had
big one?
He had not real big, but like it was
Enough.
in the time at the time when it was like happening. And they look really cute actually.
I love that.
So it's so funny he doesn't have them anymore.
Oh my God, the chops on your wedding day. And so you literally just pulled out the album recently.
Yeah, we just pulled because my sister-in-law was visiting and we pulled it out. And my other sister-in-law, Debbie, who was the rabbi, Judy, who was the rabbi, and we realized, we're like, look, Debbie wore
That's
and
what
I'm
you
like,
found out.
Yeah, we're like, oh my God, that is so funny. I didn't even notice.
I love
and she
that
looked
you're
great
so
too.
nonchalant about it. Like some people get so obsessed
They
with
really
wearing white
do.
and being the only one. But you were sort of like, you look gorgeous, you should wear it.
Yeah, I mean, I had no worries about a thing like that at all. And it was kind of like barefoot and free.
Yeah.
Although I wasn't barefoot, I was in Jimmy Choo.
I was going to say, I'm fairly certain you were not barefoot, but okay.
By the end of the night, I was
Yes,
kicked
you
off
take them
those
off in
heels
the
again. But I
bar.
had a really great shoe that was very comfortable.
Yeah.
And it was a fabulous, fabulous day. So we had a Friday night dinner.
Okay.
We didn't have a rehearsal dinner because there was
just
no
like a
wedding
big-
party. So we had a Friday night dinner for anybody who came up that
Out of
Friday
town.
night. Anybody. And then Saturday, there was a bunch of plans. People golfed, blah,
Yep.
blah,
'Cause
blah.
they had the whole day free.
They had the whole day free. We had a breakfast at the house the next morning for
Okay.
people that wanted to come and have breakfast. My husband and I went for a run.
The morning after your wedding?
The morning of.
Wait,
the
okay,
day
the morning of makes a little more
Yes,
sense,
the day
but
of.
not the day after.
No, the day after. The end of our wedding album should actually have been the 3 people that left our wedding in the wee dusk hours with their shoes slung on the back. I mean, it was an epic picture.
The joys of the dance
And one of
party.
the guys in the picture was one of the guys that worked at the wedding.
Oh my God, stop it.
Yes, James. I still know.
I still remember.
I still know James.
Wow.
He's
Wow, but that's what it's about. You know what I mean? Like that joy and that fun that even he worked the wedding. And
yes,
had
that's how we got to know him. And we had my architect who actually built our house in the Berkshires. He crashed our wedding.
What? He literally just showed up?
Yeah, Rich crashed our wedding because Tim, our realtor, was like, "You got to come. It's going to be a great."
He invited.
Because we had the Friday night dinner, and then we had the afternoon, and then we had the ceremony at like 5 o'clock in the evening. We got married in a meeting house. It was an old church, but it was now non-denominational.
Right.
We moved the chuppah inside, and which is Jewish for Jewish traditional,
100%.
and broke the glass in there. And then we came out. We rang the church bell.
No, I love that this mixy.
There was all the mixy
Jewish,
stuff.
Christian
Yes,
church.
exactly. Because we're
not?
very spiritual. Is really what we are.
Yeah.
And I can't say I hang my hat on one particular religion. Yeah, but we raised our kids Jewish, and we got married Jewish. So what happened next? Oh, so then they came out of the church, and there was a big tour bus that we had, like one of those really souped up ones.
From A to B.
A to B. Okay. Champagne. We had a nifty guitarist coming out. Everybody got on the bus and they went to Gedney Farm, which is where the reception was. We had a huge caviar bar. Vodka, cold vodka. We had a quartet playing.
I mean, this is a dream.
Everybody had it was really
You didn't have a wedding
wonderful.
planner?
No, we did it. We did it ourselves with the people at Gedney Farm.
Sure, they helped you do.
And they were great. And Pam Hardcastle was my florist, and she's really important to know.
Your memory is incredible. This is 23 years ago.
She was incredible.
Wow.
So the barn at Gedney Farm, at the time that I got married, I don't know now, but it's no electric.
Yeah.
So the entire barn
Wait, literally no heat, no AC,
no lighted electric
at all, no power.
No, there's the AC.
Oh, okay.
And there's heat.
No lighting.
No lighting.
Oh,
so you have to light the barn by candlelight, everything, or by twinkle lights.
That's so romantic.
So Pam Hardcastle got birch trees out of the forest, and she brought in the trees inside. It was a 3-story. It is a 3-story barn.
Yeah.
And she lit it up. And of all things, John and I wanted a cheesecake as our wedding cake. And she's like, "I'm going to kill you. What the hell am I?" It's our favorite thing.
Your favorite thing.
So we were like, and she's like, how am I going to make a cheesecake sexy?
Yeah.
So she found one of those topiary things, and she made a little tiny one, and they had like 12 tiers.
Wow.
And she just put flowers and put it in there, and then to top it all off was the band. We had a 16-piece band.
Wait, 16?
Yeah.
Not 8, not 10, not 12.
No, 16.
Wow.
And if I could remember his name, that would be Charles something.
So you must have had a raucous horror.
We had a raucous time. I never sat down, and I kept trying to sit down. I never took a morsel of food.
Wow.
If you look at my wedding album, it was people got down.
Yeah.
We got down. We hit the floor, honey. We dropped it like it was hot.
That's what it is. Like, that's the joy of the day. Yep. You know what I mean? Like the people you love in one room having a celebration.
It was.
It sounds like you don't have any regrets.
None, because then we got on the bus and we went to the after hours party.
And just kept going.
And we kept going.
Got it.
And
what advice would you give to anyone getting married today?
I don't take it so seriously. Like really, planning is everything. Yeah. You are throwing a huge event.
Yeah.
You are responsible for people's good time.
Yep.
You want to make sure you have simple things like water in the room. Like you forget about what it's like, the little things, you know what I mean, to cater. But then just have a great time. Yeah. I mean, it's very expensive.
Yeah.
You put so much time and energy into it. And when it starts to stress you out and you start to be fighting with your fiance or your in-laws or your own mother or father, chill out, shake it off.
It's not worth it.
It isn't.
Yeah. It's a
Remember
6-hour
what you're
party.
doing, and it is a party.
Yeah.
So go have fun.
Yeah. I love that. So you were in fashion, started working in fashion before you got married.
Yes.
Okay. So when did you take your sort of first dive into fashion? Was it fashion school, or did you sort of work in an internship, or tell me everything?
Right out of college, I graduated from college and I had no idea what I wanted to do.
Okay, like
and
most
I was
people.
Yes, I was a media major, communications, media, and marketing.
Okay.
And I thought I wanted to be an anchor woman. I really did.
I could see it.
Yep.
You'd be very good on the news.
But I could not stand what they wore. You have to remember, this was 1988.
Was it just padded
It
shoulders?
was hot pink padded shoulders, big blonde or mostly blonde hair, black turtleneck.
Yeah, not your vibe.
Lips. I just was like, but I can't stand what they wear.
Yeah.
So I started to focus more on what people wore, and I took a couple elective courses, one of them being a textiles course.
Okay.
And I really loved it. And I didn't have any idea that I wanted to be a fashion fashion designer. I played with clothes a lot as a kid. I had a sewing machine in my room that doubled as a desk, one of those things.
Oh, wow, that like flipped over?
Yeah, the old school.
Yeah.
And so on a boring rainy day, I would flip that thing over and I'd cut stuff up in my closet.
Would you do it for yourself or for other people?
Only for myself.
Only for yourself.
Yeah. Very self-motivated.
No, listen, it works. You're always there.
Yeah, so. I was cutting up my own clothes and resewing them together. Okay. I remember laying on the floor once and tracing my body to try to make a pattern. And creative. I really was self-taught.
100%.
Yes, completely. So I graduated from college with media. I didn't really want to get into media. I had got great advice from my mom. She said, just go toward what you love, which at the time was skiing.
Oh.
I was a racing coach and a ski instructor all throughout college. Athlete for sure.
Yep.
4-letter winner in school, varsity sports.
For skiing or just
I skied, I did gymnastics, I ran track, I played soccer was my number one sport.
She's a busybody.
Busy, yes, active.
Yeah.
So I took the elective textiles class, and I parked it in the back of my brain. I didn't know, right? And then I got out. I was like, I don't know what I want to do. And then I got into the ski shop.
Yep.
And I went. My mom said, go toward what you love. So I went to a ski shop.
Okay.
And I started selling the hard goods because I knew about the skis and the bindings and the boots. And then people would say, well, what do you wear? And I would go onto the soft goods floor, and I became the top salesperson very quickly of both because of everything, because I was selling hard goods and soft goods. And I really started digging into it, and I noticed that there was missing things on the floor, like price points were missing. And I had grown up in the town, and I really couldn't even afford that store when I was growing up. My parents couldn't afford that. Yeah. So I was like, well, you don't really cater to your local community. And they were like, well, you should do a private, let's do, fleeces that have the store name on it, and will you help us source them? And that's when I was like, I want to design ski clothes.
Okay.
So I was going to go back to college, and my mom said, why don't you get a job in the fashion industry first before you go back to 4 years of school?
Yeah.
Well, and see if you even like it.
Yeah.
And so, believe it or not, in the Berkshires, there was a company that made bathrobes.
In the Berkshires?
In the Berkshires.
Wow.
It was called at the time Cypress Apparel.
Okay.
It was sold about, 7 or 10 years ago to Monarch Bathrobes. They still are in existence. They are my alma mater, I guess.
Okay.
And I learned how to design clothes. I learned about fashion on the cutting room floors in Brazil and in Turkey.
Yep. Literally hands-on education.
Hands-on education. I was hired as the assistant to the president, and she was a working on-hands president. Yep. Her name is Karen Fall. She's still out there today. And she really taught me all I know about fashion, and I was artistic. Yeah. I came from an artistic family, so I could draw. So I could take those ideas and I could put them on paper, and then I could go to the factory and learn at the factory what a jacquard machine does, what loop looks like, what a woven, what a knit is. All of that really on-hands college education I got on the factory floors.
Which is amazing.
Was amazing. And I stayed there for 5 years. And that's really where, and at the time, this is the big news, we signed the license, the intimate apparel license with Tommy Hilfiger.
Wow.
And
is still a brand, but was definitely
the
a big
brand. And it was really the right before the big coming, like just before the billboard, or maybe just after the billboard in Times Square. It was like first there was Ralph, then there was Calvin, now there's Tommy, and he was out there large and loud and proud. And I was so excited. So I started, I was coming into New York on the train anyway. Now I was coming into New York on the train to take Tommy meetings. Yeah. And Tommy was very hands-on at the time, and Andy was there at the time. And
so you were like all in.
I was in, and I really met everybody there. And then from there, I started to design for Ralph Lauren jeans.
Okay.
I stayed. So I really learned after Cypress Apparel and the bathrobes. I moved to New York City, and my first job was at Calvin Klein Collection.
And you hadn't met your husband then? You were
single,
young?
I was single,
dating.
Young.
Okay, so Tommy to Calvin.
Yep. So I went from Tommy to Calvin in New York City. Now I had moved from the Berkshires, and now I'm at Calvin Klein.
Big city girl.
Big city girl. From Calvin, I went to a design job at Smith Jeans, which was a workwear company at the time.
I've never heard of it.
Workwear, it's from the 70s, but workwear became very much in fashion.
Like uniforms?
Yeah, uniforms were like, they were, And so I was designing denim, and I really got to learn denim, and that's when I went to Polo Jeans after that, and I became a finishing expert for them, and I was working down in El Paso in the factories, and that was one of the most exciting times of my life, because denim as a cloth is such an exciting textile to work in, and it was hot and heavy. And I worked with the best denim companies, and we were manufacturing a lot in the United States then.
At that time.
We were, a lot of the places that I first went were the Carolinas and obviously in Texas. And we were doing things over the border in Mexico, but we were doing a lot of assembly in New York and a lot of the finishing, in the United States. So that was really exciting for me. From that job, I started to work at Sean John.
Okay.
So from Sun Apparel, Polo Jeans Company, I went to Sean John, and that was a launch. That was the first
brand new for them.
Brand new.
Established. A risk, really.
Yes, it was a risk. But how I found the company was there was an advertisement in Daily News Record at the time.
Because there's no social media, there's no Facebook. This is printed.
We're in like the 90s still.
Remind everyone how people used to get jobs.
Yes, exactly. So Daily News Record was a publication. There's Women's Wear Daily, and that was the women's version. And then there was DNR, Daily News Record, which was kind of the men's version of the two papers.
The alternative.
And there was a ad in the paper that really wasn't an ad in the paper. It was an article saying that Sean John was going to launch.
Okay.
And it was very exciting.
Yeah.
And obviously at the time, Sean Combs was one of the biggest things going. Sure. And so I said to my boss at the time, I said, listen, we should find out who's making his jeans.
Interesting, because you're the expert in denim.
I was the expert in denim.
Yes.
I said, because if they do this company right, it's going to be around for a long time. And if they do it wrong, we're still going to make a shit ton of jeans for a while.
At least for a little bit,
So he said, call him up. And so I called Sean John. I got this guy.
From the phone book?
From the phone book. I called Bad Boy Entertainment. And I asked for the people working on Sean John. Wow. And I got a guy on the phone named Jeff Tweedy.
Okay.
Holla, Jeff.
I mean, what a name.
Yeah, Jeff Tweedy.
And also the chutzpah to just call.
Yeah, well, that's what you did, I guess, in the day, and I definitely had the chutzpah.
Yeah.
So Jeff Tweedy's one of those guys that you always say his full name. You don't ever say Jeff.
Tweedy.
Like Jeff Tweedy. So I get Jeff Tweedy on the phone, and I find out they're really looking for some funding too. Okay. They want to bring some funding into the company, and that's really where my true career started.
Oh, interesting.
Because as a fashion designer, I was always really interested in the business side. It wasn't just designing great clothes. I love designing great clothes, but I love more seeing them on somebody on the street.
Yep.
And making sure they sold. So it was
the process from start to finish.
Yeah, it wasn't just about designing great things and then who cares what happened to them.
Or the business or the markup.
Yeah, I really, really had that. And that gave me edge at the time.
Sure.
As a designer, that I had that kind of business acumen.
That sense of it.
Yeah. So we started Sean John, and it was an unbelievable time in my life. It was an unbelievable time in the world. It was a very empowering time. It popped. I think we went from 0 to 30 million the first year.
Wow.
It was a huge brand and business. Wow. I went from design director to creative director, and from there I went to work for Jennifer Lopez, and I launched her Perspective
label. Did he kick
label.
off sort of celebrity clothing?
No, there
were other brands.
There were actually several. Let me just say about hip hop brands, because I think that's really important. There was, and back to Tommy, there was no fashion. There was street culture that, was
separate.
Black and brown people were buying up, white design clothes, white Americana, and like that look of clean and crisp and red, white, and blue. Tommy was it.
Yeah.
And Andy was really, really crucial, and putting Tommy Hilfiger's clothes on hip hop artists.
Got it.
So, there was a lot of people that were wearing
put it out there.
Yeah, the clothes. And so, Sean John was one of the best. Russell Simmons was before him with Fat Farm.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
Damon Dash was there with FUBU, For Us, By Us.
Got it.
Cross Colors was there, Carl Kanai.
Got it.
There was a lot of...
So there was a burgeoning movement.
There was a burgeoning movement, and he was in the right place at the right time, and he was iconic, and he gave us runway to do like really high-end fashion and couture. I mean, I did full-length fur. I did full leather. I did the sickest stuff. I worked with Bill Mullen, who was an incredible talent as my creative director, along with me on all the runway shows. And we made fashion history.
We did some things.
We made fashion history.
That's got to feel amazing to look back and know that you were just so deep in it that you had no idea what you were really doing or the impact that it would have.
No idea. And the other thing I want to say is we were revolutionary at the time, and it's exciting because we were the first ever live televised runway show.
The first?
The first ever. It was on E! Entertainment Television. We were the first ever televised runway show.
That's
it was
amazing.
Televised, and there was no social media, so that was the first time people got a real look at what a real access, and that was a big problem for us too with the fashion calendar, because it was that before the buy now, wear now mentality. You know,
You're showing it today, but they're not going to be able to buy it for 6, 8, 12 months.
Yes, exactly.
Got it.
So we launched that, you know, kind of buy now, wear now mentality, where we wanted to make sure things that we were sending down the runway were available for sale.
Because I want it now. I don't want to wait.
Yeah, so we called that fast tracking, and that was really, we were very early. That was way before fast fashion or anything like that, but we were trying to react to the consumer, and that was right before, you know, the World Wide Web kicked off, and we were using two ways. You know, we didn't. The iPhone wasn't even invented. Obviously, this was pre-2004.
And that was your. I mean, what a fashion journey for you. And then there's Yummy Tummy.
Yes.
Which you founded, co-founded.
I founded
completely.
that. Yeah, I co-founded my partner, Michelle, I brought in as she's a production expert. She was incredible, a dear friend. And the two of us worked in fashion together. And, you know, it takes cylinders to make the machine, you know, work, and not all these different.
Not a one-woman job.
Exactly. And it takes expertise in different areas. Yeah. And so sourcing and production is a really important part of the job. And so we were partners in that. You know, I was design and marketing. She was sourcing and production.
And that's shapewear for people who don't know.
Yes, it was. Yeah. At the time, it was a 3-panel tank that I launched. So after my celebrity stint, I worked for Jennifer Lopez. After that, I worked for Beyoncé. And I
didn't know Beyonce.
Oh, you didn't know that? Yes.
I didn't know that. What did we do for Beyonce?
Creative director. So I was her creative director. I was Jennifer Lopez's creative director when she launched House of Darion.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I did the last. One of the exciting things is being a fashion designer for these triple threat celebrities that I worked for.
Icons,
yeah, is that I did their concert tours.
Sure.
I did their videos.
Wow.
I did
Literally,
the movies when they were in the movies.
Wow.
I got to be on the movie sets and do the movies.
Experience.
So it was really incredible, and I have a music background because of working for Jennifer Lopez and Beyonce. Yeah. I have that background because of
you've
them.
Literally been on set and you've been part of the music videos.
So I did Usher's tour. I did his full tour.
Oh my God.
I did.
I don't think I could watch him I would be like.
Oh, he was great. This was when he first started. I mean, he was first out.
Those abs.
Oh my God, I know. And the dancing.
All
and
of it.
What's interesting is, you know, I worked in a lot of leather, and it's obviously bedazzled like crazy Swarovski. So a lot of the leather, I'd have to do removable liners.
Got it.
So that they could clean the liner but keep the leather.
Shows.
Yeah, even though I had to do many pairs. Yeah. We would do a lot of liners and some of the big heavy stuff.
Yeah,
exactly.
You have to be able to move and dance, and also
and you have
every
to be able
night
to clean
after
these
night
costumes, and they need more than one.
Yep.
You know, oftentimes.
Wow.
I'm doing Destiny's Fulfilled tour I did with Tina Knowles, of course.
Wow.
And that was a really exciting tour because we dressed the three girls, Michelle and Kelly
All
and
three
B.
of them.
Yeah.
And Michelle's now on Broadway.
Yeah. She's been on Broadway before.
Yes, this is not her first rodeo.
She's amazing.
Her vocals, I just saw it recently, and oh my gosh.
She's a chilling soul, that Michelle. Isn't she amazing?
Is a knockout.
She really is.
From going to all these celebrity brands, really, to deciding to start your own feels like a big
jump.
Big jump, because you had infrastructure, you had celebrity, you had money, you had all those tools, and then to say,
Bye.
Walk away from celebrity to do my own thing.
Start up something.
Again, you're a bold person, a bold woman. Yeah, like how did that happen in your mind?
Well, I left the best job in the world, right? Beyonce's creative director.
Yes.
But the universe has your back, and life is planned out. You know, some of the things you don't expect, some of the best things in life, like you don't know are going to happen. You're going to meet your husband, or you're going to meet somebody, you know, on the beach. And what happened was I got pregnant.
Okay.
I had both my babies with Beyoncé, Jax and Ella. And when my firstborn, Jax, I had enormous pregnancies.
Okay.
I always call myself, I was the Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Just physically?
Just physically, I had a huge stomach.
Got it.
You know, I reminded myself of her. I'm like, oh my God, me and Catherine and from the back, you can tell, we just spun around. People were like, whoa, girl. And they would say to me all the time, like, oh, you're having twins? I say, oh, no, there's just one. They're like, are you sure? Yeah. I'm like, yeah, girl, I'm sure.
Like I check all the time.
But after Jax was born, it was, you know, tragic. We thought we were going to lose Jax at childbirth. So he wasn't breathing. And I had this big pregnancy, and I had like 65 pounds of weight loss in front of me.
Wow.
Real weight loss. For someone who really never struggled with weight.
And who worked out, who was active.
Was active. I gained an enormous amount of weight. And then after the baby, I still had 30 pounds of weight to lose.
Wow.
And he was sick.
Yeah.
And I wasn't focused on me and my body.
Of course.
And Beyoncé and Tina were so incredible during that time. They're just incredible people anyway, but super supportive. But one of the things that Tina did that I'll never forget was she knew, she had the intuition, she had the insight as a mom, as a female, to be sure that I did not forget my worth. If something happened to Jax, she had insight, I think, that she wanted me to know I was important.
Yeah. Yeah.
That my life was important, what I was doing was important, yes. The people that I was around, I was important too. And so she encouraged me, she would nudge me in a really friendly way to come back into the office. Like, oh, we really need you.
Yeah.
And so my ego was like, if I look the part, I can play the part.
Sure.
And so I bought shapewear for the first time in my life.
Got it.
And I had never really used shapewear or knew much about it because most of the shaping that if we needed it, we'd built it inside the dress for Jen or Beyonce or whatever. So, and I was doing menswear before that. So, and I didn't have a need for it. So that
was the first time.
That was the first time. It like literally, and I went and I bought a bunch of shapewear.
Sure.
And it did not work for me. It was frustrating. It made me uncomfortable. And I felt like it was a dirty little secret. By 12 noon, I wanted to circular file it. And I said, there's got to be a better way.
Yeah.
And so that is how I left Beyonce, because the necessity, the mother of all invention. Exactly. And I didn't think I was going to leave. I put the Tina loved the idea. She was like, oh my God, this is genius.
Or like a side project.
Yeah. I put it in a trade show and it took off. And, we sold 10,000 units, like the trade show.
Like right out of the gate.
Right out of the gate. Oprah came, Oprah's Favorite Things, picked us up.
That's the blessing of all blessings.
Yeah. We were her last Oprah's Favorite Things show on television when she was still on television. Adam Glassman, still a dear friend of mine.
I loved it.
Found me and brought me to Oprah, and she loved it. And there I was on Oprah's Favorite Things, right next to Fit Flop. Remember those?
No, wait, what was a Fit Flop?
Fit Flops. Do you remember those Fit Flops? They were all the rage. They're still around. It's a great brand, and we were kind of launched together, I feel like.
Well, what's a Fit Flop?
A Fit Flop is a flip flop.
Okay.
Which is ergonomically designed to help your body, your butt
work
lift.
Out while you walk?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
I
like
feel
the
like I need to get some of these.
Yeah, they were like the original kind of like workout fit, flip flop.
Yeah. I'm Googling this as soon as we finish this.
And we launched together, so I'm very proud of that.
At the same time.
Yeah. Heidi Klum was on the show, and there was a big deal because she had a contract with Victoria's Secrets at the time, and she was like, I love these for when I had the kids. She had all the kids, and they made her do a cease and desist. It was like... because it was a big deal when it launched. It was one of those things where people were like, oh my God, why didn't I think of that?
I think of this?
3 panels, cotton at the top, shaping in the middle, a 4-way stretch that was very comfortable, and then cotton at the bottom. So it finished. It was really a layering piece, and that was what I launched.
That was your signature.
Yeah,
and
yummy.
You're a
tummy
materials
with.
girl,
It
so
was,
you no materials.
Yes.
And you didn't like what you were seeing in the market.
No.
Similar to the ski shop.
That's right.
And you said, I can make this better.
Yep.
And you did.
And that became my theme as an entrepreneur.
Okay.
If you can't do it better than something that's already out there, or if you can't do it in a more economical, efficient way that's better for the planet, better for people's wallet, don't do it.
And what are we doing?
Yeah.
And what year is this that you launched?
So this is 2004.
Okay, so literally you got married.
Yeah.
And then a year later,
I had a
you're launching
baby.
this.
I got pregnant.
Baby
we were having
with
a
Jax.
good time. Yes.
I mean, as you do.
And then we had a sick
party
baby.
kept going.
Yeah. And then our marriage was hit with its first real challenge. And that was.
And when did you start RHONY?
RHONY came like 3 or 4 years after that. About 4 years after that.
So you were mom, businesswoman, and then RHONY. How did that happen?
So
did you approach them? Did they
No,
approach
I got
you?
a cold call at my desk.
Wow.
So I had Jax, launched Yummy, was working with Yummy. Tina and Beyonce wished me all the best of luck,
Kisses, good luck.
Love them. Beyonce would wear the tank top. She was really very supportive.
Incredible. She feels to me like someone who is that way through and through.
Very
her
much.
success is wild, but she brings everyone with her in a way that I don't see a lot of other artists do. Like her platform is for her, but she shines her light bright on so many other people. It feels like.
She really, really does.
Yeah.
And I really do have to say I hate the haters.
Yeah.
I just don't understand,
Yep.
you know what I mean? Like I get when you come to these heights of celebrity that B has reached.
Sure.
But if you don't like her, don't look.
Or don't listen.
Don't listen. Like
There's other
you
options
know what
out
I
there.
mean? Like I feel that about everybody.
Period.
Everybody. You know what I mean? If you don't have something to add to the conversation that's positive or meaningful or educational that's important for people to know, then don't. We're really in that place where we should. So I am a big Beyonce fan.
Same.
I love her to death.
Every album.
She is a
every
good
music
person.
video.
She's been a good person to me and always was
Big part
supportive
of
of
your
me.
life.
As is Kelly Rowland, a beautiful, beautiful soul, and Michelle.
All three
And
of them.
Tina.
Yeah.
They're all in Solange is an
moms and
incredible
sisters, for
talent.
people who don't know.
Tina Knowles
Yeah.
and Solange Knowles. They're
Powerful
we
women.
had our babies together. Solange and Jules and Jax.
the
They
same
were
time.
pregnant at the same time.
Wow.
Jules and Jax are the same age.
I
Yeah.
love that. So
Yeah.
you had these strong women
We did.
with you.
I did.
And so then Real Housewives called you.
I got a call at my desk. I was working at Yummy. My marketing director at the time, Christy Watson, said, I've got someone on the show, the TV director casting.
what?
I'm not sure. I was
You had
like,
never thought about this.
Yeah. I was like, who's it for? She's like, I think she probably said Housewives, but I thought she said Apprentice.
God, and you were like, Apprentice, I may be interested
So
in.
this is a business. This is great
Yes.
for the brand.
Marketing.
Yeah, they want me to do a thing on the Apprentice with Donald about, Yummy, and we'll do a challenge. And so I loved it.
course.
So as far as like, oh yeah. And they were like, no, wait.
Not that.
Because they were like, we want you to be on the Housewives of New York City. And
Not that you thought you were going to be on The Apprentice.
I did.
And in reality, it was The Housewives. Couldn't be further from The Apprentice.
I was very excited about the Apprentice.
Oh my God.
So when they said Housewives, I was like, oh, hell no.
Had you seen it?
I had seen it. Yeah. I had seen it, but I mostly had seen Beverly Hills.
Okay.
When I was home with Ella.
Got it. You had
on
time.
maternity leave with Ella. I watched Beverly Hills had launched. And the reason I watched it most is because of Kyle and her sister.
Okay.
What's her sister's name again?
Kyle and Kim.
Kim, sorry.
No,
God,
you're fine.
Kim, how
I got
dare
you.
I? How dare I? Because of Kyle and Kim, because I had watched them as a child.
Got it. So you were a fan of them.
Yeah,
when they were
Escape from
younger.
Witch Mountain
Sure.
and all
Yeah,
that stuff. And I wanted to see what they were like
as
grown
adults,
up and in
for
real
sure.
kind of life.
Yeah.
And I had gotten, dribs and drabs of the New York
the
City
other
Housewives, but I not really like a full
You weren't
episode.
in it. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Only Beverly Hills. So, and I didn't watch New Jersey either.
Yeah.
So then when they called me, I started watching.
Of course, because you have to see
Yeah, I had to
what
see
this
it.
is going to be.
Exactly. And so they called, once I figured out what it was, at first I was like, oh, hell no. I'm like, oh, I'm not.
It doesn't feel congruous with
no,
who
I
you
don't
are
feel like
at
I
all.
match.
Yeah.
And they said, that's exactly why we're calling you.
they want.
We are looking to switch up. They said up-level the show.
Yeah.
We want real New Yorkers doing real things.
Which is you.
We want real kick-ass
career,
people.
Real mom.
Exactly.
Real New Yorker, yeah.
And they cast, at that time, myself, Carol Radziwill.
Oh, you came on together?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
My bestie still.
I was
one of
going to
my
ask,
dear
did you
friends.
meet her on the show?
I met her. We had a mutual friend, Duff, in common.
Okay.
And and Katie. And so Kate and Duff got us together.
Got it.
Before the show.
Okay, but you both knew you were going to be on the show.
We found out through friends that we were going to be on the show, and they're like, "Oh my God, Carol, Heather, you guys don't know each other. We need to get you together."
Got it.
So we met only one time before the show, which gave me and her both, I think, some sort of comfort level. But
a safe place.
Yeah, like we knew that the other was normal, so to speak. You know, quote unquote,
as you can
like
be
who's
in that
normal.
Environment. Yeah,
exactly.
Wow. So you literally picked up the phone, thought it was one thing, it was a whole other,
Yeah.
and then what made you say yes? Because this is very outside.
It
your
was.
world, it feels like to
it's
me.
marketing, still marketing. It was still a marketing opportunity.
tons.
It was a great casting agent.
Yeah.
She had good, she had good
She did a
jargon.
good job on you.
Sorry,
Does
yes.
Bravo really take a percentage of the sales of anything you promote?
I was grandfathered. That's called the Bethany Clause.
It really is. Okay,
Yeah,
I was
it
gonna
really
ask.
is.
So
And
you got that.
I did not. They did not take any of my business. I
Good
wouldn't
for
have
you.
done the show.
If they did.
It was non-negotiable for me, and I was grandfathered in. It was just
what
starting.
she asked for.
But I also had an established business. I didn't
Yes.
create my business on the show.
Which makes sense if you do.
That was my argument.
Okay, which
and my
makes
lawyers.
sense.
Yeah,
I had to ask my little Bravo question.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, it's a good question.
So you did that. You were on 5, 6, and 7.
Yes.
Iconic early years.
Yes.
You're still best friends with Carol?
Very close, very close still with Raz. And
Anyone else, or-
Aviva was,
and Aviva.
so the 3 new cast members were me, Aviva, and Carol.
Okay.
And Aviva and I are still close. Carol and I are best friends.
Sure.
Aviva and I feel like she's a camp sister.
Yes. So you see her here and there.
Yeah,
but
and
you
we
always
really
think-
we went through stuff
A lot.
together.
A lot.
I think Carol has forgiven Aviva, and if she saw her.
Sure.
She,
It'd be okay.
But Aviva and I really met after it happened. We talked it through.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in South Beach in a couple weeks, and I'll see her. Of
And
course.
her dad?
And her dad. I don't know if I'll see your dad, but I will see Reed and the kids.
Okay.
You
Got it.
know.
So they're still happy and together
Yes.
and living life.
Very much so.
And I would say so I'm a very big fan. When you first came on the show, it was very refreshing. You were a breath of fresh air, and you were unlike these women who kind of were finding their own way in front of the camera and living in the camera. And it felt like you came on and you were like, oh, I have a real life, I have a real family, I have a real business, and I'm going to share all of that with you. But you opened up about Jax in a way that really it was so vulnerable and endearing because most of these women weren't letting us in like that.
Right.
But you shared your son had a medical issue and all of the steps of the way. And it really felt like, oh, you're a real human and a mom. And it was so beautiful.
Aww.
Because it was like a breath of fresh air, in that show. And then Ramona comes along. I think your Berkshires home is beautiful.
Thank you.
Are you still in that home?
Oh, yes.
You still live in the garage?
We still live in the garage. We built a barn, and so we now will have a legitimate garage.
Not for Ramona.
No,
Okay.
no, I don't do anything.
Of course. I wouldn't guess it, but I had to ask because that was the most. She is who she is, I guess, but that was the most cringy moment of that show for me. Like literally, who are you?
That was nothing in terms of cringe.
For sure.
Nothing. That
For
was like,
sure.
you know.
She gave a lot for those 3
Yeah, that was
seasons.
tame.
But I just thought, like, what are we doing here? And then Aviva and her leg.
That's the best. Well, you'll notice when you mention the fact that I was a working mother.
Yes.
Carol will say that I was the only one that had a real job, and I was running a multi-million-dollar company.
Period.
And I was on television selling on HSN, and I was all over the place.
You were busy.
And so it was funny because when Aviva put her leg on the table that night, I said, I would like to go home tonight. I would like to get home tonight because we were going round and round of filming that night. We had to move from this table to that table so she could have a position because it was, all stage.
So it was all stage.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I had a
Nobody
feeling.
knew she was going to do it except for Aviva and the production
And the
crew.
producer. Okay. So you were all shocked.
I mean, I knew it was coming.
Okay.
I
Got
knew
it.
it was. That's why you'll notice. I'm like,
Sure.
please,
Can I
here
go
we
home?
go.
I have kids. I have things to do.
Yeah.
Like you like efficiency, it feels like, and this didn't feel like an efficient use of your time.
I do. I
Okay.
do like, and it's mediocrity, efficiency. Those were all like big problems for me. I call it in the first half of my life. In the second half of my life, I'm easing up on those things. I think the things that you learn that served you sometimes when you were younger, you learn don't serve you so much when you were older.
Interesting.
And so it'd be funny what I would be like on the show today.
I'm curious if they asked you back. would you go?
Well, I've already
I know there's a
gone
whole new
back.
cast. You went back once or twice?
I went back. I've always made cameos since
As a friend of?
Since I walked away from the show, I maintained very good relationships with production Andy, all that stuff. And I had real friendships with
with some of these girls.
So it was nice. They would like to have me back.
Of course.
And then during the pandemic, I did try to go back to, again, bridge the gap between the old and the new.
Yes.
It worked the first season. It didn't. Well, because there were 3 new and 3 old. And what you mentioned, I was not acting. Aviva definitely played up for the cameras. Miss Carol has an Emmy.
Yep.
So she, understands TV. And then there was me, yellow-bellied, and in there just kind of living it.
What's going on? What's my schedule? We got to go.
Let's keep it real. Exactly. And if you ever interviewed production, they will say that was my biggest sticking point. Was
that feels.
When are we filming?
Yeah.
How can I do this? And my schedule. And Shauna, my assistant at the time, I love you, girl.
Yeah.
She was a genius, helping me manage everything I had to manage, including being a mommy.
Of course.
Yeah.
And you had 2 young ones that were growing up.
Yeah.
And Jax today is doing well. Everyone's
20 years old. He is
Jax is 20.
Yeah, he's a freshman in college.
I only see him as a little baby.
I know. They grow up and it goes really fast and it's unbelievable. And they were super special little babies, but they are unbelievable adults. Yeah, Ella is about to be 18. She turns 18 in just another month.
This is a whole other journey for you, a whole other relationship with a teenage child.
Yes, 2.
Mad too, 18 and 20.
Yes, to all the parents out there raising teenagers. Honey, I love you and I feel you.
And you're going to get through it.
Yeah, you will get through it.
Yeah.
My biggest advice to parents is don't take it personally.
Yeah.
Don't bite the hook.
Yep.
They say things and, you triggered because you try to do the best you can.
Sure.
Well, I think it's just part of the evolution of separation. They are trying to grow independent.
And to become their own person.
To become their own. And, you need them to be nasty for you to let them go. And they need to be nasty to move away.
From you.
You know what I mean? And you need to say all the wrong things so they think you're nasty. In order for that true evolution to happen.
It's not going to be perfect.
No.
So let go of that.
Exactly.
Just like the wedding, the white, all of it. Just kind of let it happen.
Yes.
So fashion, housewives, mom, into health and wellness.
Yes.
It feels a little bit like you built an empire, you lived in RHONY, which I don't want to call it toxic, but it's kind of crazy and wild and a lot of things and feelings and emotions and legs and drinks and a lot.
All of that.
And then all while being a mom and entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And now it feels like you're in this new chapter of your life. Are you doing any fashion at all or strictly health?
Maybe.
Oh,
yes,
let's save that for the end. Because I feel like there's something in that smile.
Yes.
But your main focus now is health, wellness through coaching and your podcast.
Yes.
So tell me about this new chapter of your life.
Yeah. So while I was filming the show still, my last season on the show, I went back to school. And,
I didn't know that.
Yes. And because of Jax's illness, I really spent a lot of time focusing on how I could use food as medicine to counter,
heal.
And to counteract what was happening with the antibiotics, the things that were helping him,
were also
the immunosuppression drugs, all of the things. He had a liver transplant for those that didn't watch the show at 6 months old. So we had a real health crisis. Then he has a chronic lung disease and he had food allergies. And so I became a label freak.
Sure, because it's your child.
It's my child. And there was no apps.
You had
to help us in the grocery stores. Exactly. And we were, the processed food business was really rearing its ugly head at the time. And we didn't even know what was coming. We weren't really sure what was hitting us, but it was here.
It was everywhere.
And it was everywhere. And we just didn't know that it was poisoning us.
What it was doing
to us.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I learned all about that while on the journey to understand, food as medicine.
Yes.
I learned how toxic a lot of the food and the processed food that were being, and the chemicals and all that stuff that are out there. I also learned that, no food is bad food when you don't have food. Right.
Say that again.
No food is bad food when
Yeah.
you don't have food.
Yes.
And so,
Yes.
I went through the snobby phase
Sure.
of, like good eating, and I understood food deserts in this country, and I understood a lot of the issues and the problems that we were having.
And the food supply
and
in
the
America.
food supply in
What they feed
America.
in schools, based on the neighborhood you live in,
That's
the
right.
income, all of it.
All of
It's
it.
a fucking broken system.
It's a fucking broken system.
like, to just call it what it is.
And being healthy doesn't pay that broken system that loves to feed on your money and your illness.
Yep.
And it loves to feed on your addictions.
Yep, to sugar,
salt,
processed
sugar,
sugar.
fat, salt, sugar, fat. That's the trifecta combination that will keep you eating and kill you.
Yep.
And
But
all
it's
fast
cheap,
food.
it's delicious, and it's easy.
It's the three main ingredients of all fast food.
Yeah.
Salt, sugar, fat.
Yep.
And so it's killing us. And so now we have labeling on our, this is a GMO food.
Yep.
This is a genetically modified organism. And when they say that to you, that means I'm going to make you not want to, once you pop, you can't stop. No one can eat just one.
Yeah.
Those are real marketing terms
Yes.
because it's turning those signals on in your brain.
To want it.
To
and
want
to want more of it.
Exactly. And it has that special sauce in
Yep.
there of salt, sugar, fat that keeps you craving it.
Yep. And then you
So-
see it on TV and
Yeah.
you see it in advertising
Yeah.
and you want it and you crave it.
Yep. So very much like the smartphone, I think,
Mm-hmm.
food, we have to understand what is given to us, what's
Okay.
being given to us,
Yep.
and then we have to use our own brain power to beat it. So beating the iPhone,
Yep.
the addiction of the
Yes.
iPhone,
Scrolling.
it's very true.
Yep.
It's addictive. Everybody, if you
For me
if you
too.
think you're not addicted to it, you
Unless
are.
You have one, you're addicted.
Yeah, denial is not just a river in Egypt.
Yes.
You're addicted to the phone.
Yep.
And it has those things that addict you. Same with the food. So anything in moderation is
Yeah.
not going to hurt you. Right?
But every day, all
every
day.
day, all day long, the sodas, the
Yep.
processed foods.
Yep.
And that means opening a bag to eat your food.
Yeah.
And there's nothing more perfectly packaged than an apple
Yeah.
or an orange.
A whole food, a real
whole
food.
food. And so I literally took that anger, the propaganda,
Yep.
and I took 19 women to the roof of Africa, and I did my first health and wellness retreat journey, and we climbed Kilimanjaro.
Wow. So literally putting your words into action
Yes.
with activity.
That's right.
wow.
And it was all women who were mothers, and women make a lot of the decisions in the
Yes,
household.
for sure.
And I was learning how we didn't understand as women that we were undereducated with the choices that we could make.
Yeah.
Simple things, we've heard it now a million times, like shopping the perimeter.
Yep.
Right. And all that sounds real good until you go to a store
And
in
it's
the
right
middle
there
of
in front of
Minnesota
you.
and the vegetables look like
Yes.
there's maybe 2 or 3 of them.
they're not good.
And they're not good.
Yeah.
Right. So I understand that. And there's ways that we can get around that. And there are supplements and there are things that you can take. You need to have vegetables.
Yeah.
You need to have vitamins and minerals and the phytonutrients that we get from vegetables. I learned also that some people have never ate a vegetable.
Yeah.
They've not been served vegetables.
Yeah.
They're not
It's
used to
foreign to
vegetables. It's
them.
foreign and they don't like them because they've never ate vegetables.
Well, if you go to school and you pizza and a hamburger as lunch,
and
there
then you
isn't
go
a
home and
vegetable
it's pasta.
or a frozen meal
or
or
a
fast
frozen
food.
meal. And so it gave me a
Yeah.
real lens into the real world out there and outside of my box of Manhattan
Yep.
and the Berkshires,
Sure.
where my food is generally pretty great.
In the Berkshires, it's farms, so the food is
Yeah, and
phenomenal.
even chicken or meat, right? I wish in Columbia County or in Berkshire County that we could sustain and we could feed the citizens of our counties
With your own
with
meat.
our own meat.
Wow.
But we can't. We can't sustain it. There's not enough farmers. There's not enough actual
for that county itself.
for the county itself. There's not enough farmers, and there's not enough. The real missing link in meat farming is the producer, the butcher, the guy who actually. There's a word for it. When they take processing.
Yeah, meat
The
processing.
meat processor is what's missing.
Okay.
And so if anyone out there is listening and
Yeah.
we're talking about trades and things
Yes.
like that.
And filling in a need where
and
there is
filling in
one.
needs, that's one of the biggest needs is enough farmland, right? Enough farmers where they can sustain grass-fed.
Yes.
Right? Moving the cows
Yep.
from field to field, pasture to
not
pasture.
just standing there.
All that kind of stuff. And then
Chemicals.
processing
Yeah,
the cow, the meat. So I'm pretty much a meat snob, I would say. I do keep that.
Okay.
I never eat meat unless I know what it is. I'm pretty much plant-based. I have to know where it comes from. But what I did also learn is, for the most part, in the Hudson Valley, Berkshire County, our chicken is not coming from the middle of the country in the factory farms. I mean, you can get it at some of the big grocers, but if you're buying local, the chances are, even if it doesn't say organic, it's probably pretty safe compared to, and you can really look and do the investigative. But I lessened my food snobbery a little bit, because I was going to give my children eading disorders also.
You keep such a rigid.
Yeah, you can't keep such a rigid, but you have to know, like farmed fish. Farmed fish is a lot of poison, and a lot of they're swimming in their own feces and their own food, and they have to swim in the same circles all the time. And
so that's marketing, because they lead you to believe that farmed fish is sustainable and therefore it's healthy.
Right.
But you're saying not true. Wild caught
only.
Yeah.
And so eat a trout. There's no such thing as you know what I mean? Like look for, a real trout, or a fish that's not factory farmed, like salmon. There's a lot of salmon. You have to get the Alaskan salmon.
Yeah, like where it's from and where it lives.
But if you ate like the fish the one time from the farm, it's not going to hurt you. Sure. It's just that the consistent
over and over.
And then here's the thing: don't eat as much fish. Don't eat as much meat. Don't eat as much chicken. Don't eat as much beef. Eat more plants.
Yeah.
Beans, legumes are an amazing source of protein.
Yeah.
I make tofu all different types of way.
Make your own tofu?
I actually buy it from most of the fresh marketplaces.
You cook it differently.
Yeah, but you cook it. Tofu is such an incredible. I do make my own. You can make it with sweet chili sauce, and so you can put it in.
It absorbs any flavor. It's really versatile.
You can put it in a smoothie. You can make a yogurt out of it.
Smoothie?
The silken tofu, the wiggliest one.
The wet kind of one.
Yes, that's the best one to throw in a blender and make yogurts and puddings, and it's a great base, and it's full of protein.
Yeah.
So one of the things we don't get is enough protein.
Yep.
We don't get enough fiber.
Yep.
So there are ways to supplement your diet. How do you get fiber? Yes, it's those leafy greens. Sure. You're not getting much fiber in your steak.
Yeah, no. Just protein.
Yes, exactly. So learning what really you're eating, how it feeds your body, starting to advocate for ourselves. So the first climb was Kilimanjaro with 19 women, and then I got, completely the bug. The outdoors girl in me, after spending so much time in New York City as a fashion designer,
in an office,
working in an office
computer.
with big players, from Ralph and Calvin to Beyonce, you know what I mean? And Jennifer Lopez, I was busy, and I had seen a big world and a really big life. And so it was just really nice to kind of say, okay, wait a second.
Let me do this different.
Yeah, let me do this a little bit different.
Wow. So are you... you have the podcast, but just how you share some of this information. Is there a newsletter? Are there other conferences? Or how can people benefit from your knowledge and your vast knowledge, again, from a place of need, right? You were worried about your son.
Yes.
There was a problem, and you've found solutions, but how can the everyday person benefit from this knowledge that you are sharing? You can find me at heatherthomson.com is where, everything is. So you can see all the retreats and climbs I've done, from Kilimanjaro to, I did a 20,000 foot ascent in Merit Peak in Nepal, took people through Patagonia. I love that.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's El Chaten.
Life-changing.
Yeah, incredible.
Untouched nature.
Incredible trips.
Beautiful.
We've done retreats in the Gulf Shores of Alabama at really beautiful spa resorts.
Yep.
So you can find all that kind of stuff of what we've done at heatherthomson.com. Beyond Fresh is my apple cider vinegar.
Okay.
It's a tasty, delicious apple cider vinegar, which is fermented food.
For the gut.
So it's really healthy for your gut. It's natural. It was something that I had Jack's drinking a lot, but I couldn't sustain it because it tastes like not good. It's vinegar.
He's drinking it daily.
I would have him try to take his because he had a lot of antibiotics.
Yeah.
But it wasn't sustainable. So I'm like, if we just could make it delicious.
Yeah.
So that's what we did. So I went and I started Beyond Fresh, which is my food brand.
Okay.
And apple cider vinegar. It's a delicious, mouth-watering. It tastes like a green apple Jolly Rancher candy, but there's no sugar at all in it.
Wow. Not even naturally.
No, it's naturally occurring sugars, but it's from papaya and pineapple.
Amazing. Amazing.
And there's coconut water in it, so it's hydrating, and there's fiber in it. So you're getting fiber. Yes, it helps everything, and it's prebiotic and probiotic, so it feeds the good bacteria in your belly. It's prebiotic rather, and then it's fermented. It's healthy bacteria.
Okay. I love this.
So it's prebiotic, and it's healthy fermented bacteria for your gut. And so Beyond Fresh, you can find it at GNC and beyondfresh.com. But at heatherthomson.com, you'll see what I've been doing for travel and adventure. And then you'll see Health, Harmony, and Heather.
Yes, your podcast.
Which is what brings it all together.
Yes.
Which is my podcast where I have people on that are experts or have overcome or have understood and ways to break through or, inspire.
Yeah.
New
their
ways.
own health journey?
Yeah, their own health journey, or even businesses, Health, Harmony, and Heather.
Yes.
So I'm an entrepreneur.
Yep.
Health is important for me, but then harmony, finding our balance.
In life.
Yeah, in life. I mean, it's been a really difficult time. I call it the Windex era, which I think is really important. We can see through to our neighbors. We can see clearly. The glass is clean.
Yeah.
We see what's before us.
It's all
now
there.
it is up to us. What are we going to do with it?
I love that.
And don't get overwhelmed. Take it in, take it tight. What we do, our own small steps each day, what we do in our own lives, what we permeate, what we put out in the world.
What we can control.
What we can control. And you really can't control anything. So get rid of that notion.
Yeah, right away.
But the things that you can be in charge of and the things that you feel like that you can make a destiny for yourself or reach out to your neighbor, those are the most important things. Now, yes, there are people out there with really big jobs and really big things to do. And, that's another story. But for those of us out there navigating, your kindness, what you do in the world, what you put out there really, really matters.
Yeah.
It makes a difference.
Every day.
You count. Don't think you don't.
Yeah. This has been such a joy. Thank you so much. And where can people find your podcast, your website, your
So
Instagram?
Health, Harmony, and Heather, you can find and download wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. We're going to be there. I've got a lot of great guests and so many amazing episodes.
Yeah.
And
I saw you had your bestie Carol on.
Yes, Carol's going to be back on again soon.
Oh, I love that.
She'll be back on again soon.
Okay.
And Beyond Fresh, beyondfresh.com, or go to GNC and pick up your apple cider vinegar. And then all the travel and retreats, you can see what I've done. I've put them on hiatus for a minute because I am working on
my gosh.
I am working on a project. I am thinking about a new fashion collection.
Okay. Male, female.
Yeah,
it
will be female.
Genderless.
It will be female. I'm going girl strong these days.
Gosh.
Yeah,
Well,
girl
can you
strong
share
these
any
days.
more? It's still in the works and a little private.
It's very much in the works.
Okay.
It's very much in the works. But you can find it at heatherthomson.com for sure.
Gosh.
So please keep an eye out.
Yes.
And
We can't wait.
I felt like if I could come back in fashion and do something
Meaningful.
that was meaningful, that I would do it. And I think,
And why not?
Yeah, I think we have found that. So I'm working on that this year.
Well, I'm sending good vibes for that.
Thank
I can't
you.
wait to buy your apple cider vinegar.
Yes.
And kind of keep it
Beyond Fresh,
all the
ACV,
things.
Health, Harmony, and Heather.
I will be there.
Keep an
Thank
eye out.
you.
Thank you so much.
Yes. And now it's time for Ask Jove. And I couldn't be more excited to be in studio with my dear friend Sloan for Ask Jove. What do we have today, Sloan?
All right, Jove. Brianna from Atlanta, Georgia. She and her partner are considering having a weekday wedding to save on costs.
Ooh, I love a weekday wedding.
Why not, What are potential benefits and drawbacks to having a non-traditional wedding day?
I think a weekday wedding is the bomb.com because... Why did I just say bomb.com?
I don't know, but welcome back to 2005.
Welcome. I was going to say, what year was that bomb.com was a thing? I love a weekday wedding because the world opens up to you.
Mm-hmm.
Most wedding vendors are going to be available. So you will have your pick of vendors.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to worry like, is my favorite band, is my favorite photographer, is the florist I love, are they available? A Saturday in June, you're competing with everyone, right? June and September are like peak. When you move to a weekday, vendors the sky opens up and they are available for you. You'll also oftentimes get better pricing because now they're able to do multiple weddings in a week. So they don't have to have a certain minimum or threshold for a Saturday in June, like a Tuesday in June, they can be more flexible. I just think it's a win-win. The price for the venue is going to be lower. The prices for most of the vendors are going to be lower. Everyone you want vendor-wise is going to be available. I would say those are all the pros.
Mm-hmm.
Any other pros I'm missing?
I think those are like, as far as like the planning aspect of it, I think that's major.
The cons, I would say, is potentially your guests. Like middle of the week can be hard for people who, corporate girlies who are Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 in the office or working remote. A Tuesday or Wednesday wedding means they have to take time off. But if they love you and you give them enough notice, I would take time off for a weekday wedding.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that would be fabulous. And then your guests get their weekend.
Right.
So like they got to celebrate with you and they got their weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say that's the only thing is sometimes it can be challenging for people to take, like a random Tuesday or Wednesday off. It does work out in your favor if you're trying to cut your guest list.
I was going to say, think of scale of guest count overall.
Yeah. Like we did a weekday wedding and the bride needed to cut the guest count. It was just massive. And that was our trick. We were like, let's do a Thursday. And literally we lost 80 people, but that was her goal. Her mom wasn't her mom's goal, but that was her goal. And it worked because those people, I don't want to say it cuts the fat, but like the people you invited, but you're fine if they don't come, aren't going to come. So it's kind of a win-win in that scenario. But I think those are the pros and cons. I'm here for it. I think do it. You'll save money. You'll save time. You won't be stressed out. Everyone's available.
And if you are worried about people who might not be available, there are other ways to celebrate your nuptials.
Yes.
In different ways with those people.
100%. Like when you visit them or when they visit you.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say, because we had another couple that did a weekday wedding, and maybe I oversold the availability of vendors. And so they got really relaxed. And so they like weren't rushed to make a decision. Sometimes if you have like a Saturday wedding, you have this like adrenaline of like, if I don't do this, someone else is going to book them. So don't lose that completely.
Book early.
Yes. Like
to have fun.
Book early, have fun. This couple waited till like the month of their wedding. And I was like, okay, you're too relaxed. Like, yes, everyone's available, but like they still need time to prepare.
Yeah.
So I say go for it. I'm so excited about your weekday wedding.
Yeah. Let us know what day you choose.
Yes. Well, that's it for today, and wasn't that fun? Don't forget to send your questions. Again, any questions, send them our way to hi@jovemeyer.com, and maybe I will answer them on air. If you can, send a voice memo. I love to hear your voice.
Weddings-ish.
Thank you again for listening or watching Weddings-ish with Jove. If you liked today's episode, please subscribe and leave a review on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. We're also super grateful to Mel Flannery for the music on the podcast. She created, produced, and designed all of the music. And don't forget, you can watch Weddings-ish with Jove on Love Stories TV, YouTube, or streaming TV channel. Visit lovestoriestv.com/live for the list of streaming apps.
Weddings-ish.